Today we're joined by Jack Hughes from Everyday Agile. He's going to be joining us on Standing Out in the Cloud podcast today. We're going to discuss a little bit how you go from seafarer to services, which I think is quite a nifty little title.
Yeah,
Made up myself,
there's your
obviously.
thumbnail.
Yeah, exactly that. Um, and we've heard quite a lot about you, Jack, before meeting you, and obviously your kind of previous relationship with our CEO Annie
Yeah,
Andrews, and she's told us, that you're a very interesting guy, and your journey into tech was quite inspirational. So, I thought it'd be really good to have a chat with you and see, how do you go from being Navy Seaman into services today, and start right back at the beginning, if that's
yeah.
okay.
I suppose before I forget, Annie was the first person who gave me a shot, really, and I'll be forever grateful for that. I don't know why she did. She probably won't even remember how it happened, but I left and joined a company called FDM Group, who are they're an IT consultancy basically, and they did a graduate scheme, and then, or they still do, but I was probably one of the first 100 that went through their ex-forces scheme, which is essentially, it was a platform into the corporate world, into roles like project management, business analyst.
Yeah.
And the deal was they gave you some training, put you through some certifications, like a bit of a boot camp, I suppose. And the deal was you give them 2 years on a client's site. And the hope is after that 2 years, you can either go back on their bench and go to another client, or the client will offer you a permanent position. So my first client, the client that I got landed with was Lloyds Bank in Bristol, where Annie was at the time,
Yeah.
running a Devon infrastructure team. I don't know really. She, like I said, she took a chance. She obviously saw something in me that I probably didn't see in myself at the time, and then started working with her team, which was quite niche. And then sort of, it was a really good experience. And then sort of branched out into different roles, not different roles, but different areas within the bank. But yeah, she took a punt.
Took the plunge with
Yeah,
you. And is that I think coming from of my background is from kind of client relationships, recruitment, that sort of stuff, and at one point the transition from services into real workplace life was quite a big thing, and a lot of
yeah.
time was spent on how do you transition people from the forces into roles. And was that experience for you, like was it a daunting one? How did you know that you wanted to go down that pathway into the tech? Obviously you were probably doing something with similar skill set, I would imagine, but
No. So I was a
no.
no. I was a gunner in the Navy, so like above water weapons, boarding teams, teaching people drill, teaching people how to use different types of weapons. So nothing to do with tech. I'd love to say I had like some grand plan, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I just, it, I don't really know. I still can't answer that question of what drew me into it. But I think project management sort of excited me, I suppose, and it felt like something that I wasn't going to have. I haven't thought about a lot of this forever or for a long time, really. No one ever really asks. So
Yeah.
I didn't really think too hard about it. I just knew there was a platform, and I knew what steps I had to take. And to be honest, I knew I knew the wage that I was on, which wasn't great. It wasn't like massive, but it provided a lifestyle and paid the mortgage. So I knew I didn't want to dip below that. Although I did for 2 years, with knowing that
Bigger
in the
picture.
future, the
Yeah.
bigger picture, it was
And
gonna
was that structure, do you
go
think?
up.
Do you think it's structure from maybe the structure that you have it being in something like one of the forces, to taking that into like project management style. And
Probably, yeah. I think you can identify a lot of waste coming from the forces. I think that was one of the things I definitely found to be a strength. Like, what are the reasons you're doing that? Who's reading that? Why are you doing that? Oh, actually,
yeah,
we haven't thought about that for a long time. We've just done it. So I suppose in that sense, it was quick to identify waste or things that probably should be reviewed or delegated or ditched or done in a different way. I suppose that was someone coming from a completely different background like I did into that space at a big bank. I suppose that could have been a different approach to maybe what some people were used to.
yeah. I
I'm not
suppose
going to
being a
speak
big
for them,
bank,
but
yeah, and being a big bank, I suppose there is still that kind of institutionalized like ways
yeah,
of working, and
yeah,
it's kind of some rules and regulations around what you're doing.
and rightly so. We've seen the
Yeah,
results of that not being the case.
yeah, I know.
But what,
We
yeah,
hear about that as well in our
yeah.
business with Annie, and her role here.
But why project management? Do you know what? I just thought it was just something completely different, and I thought, why
Yeah,
not? There was no plan. I'd love to say that I had put in my. You have to give a year's notice. I'd love to
wow,
say I had a grand plan, but I didn't. And when I say you give a year's notice, it's not like you leave your operational unit or ship when you do that. I put my notice in the January of 2014, and I didn't leave the ship until September. So I had, 3 months, 4 months to sort my life out, basically.
yeah, daunting.
Which, you sort of, you go, that's the case. So it's not me complaining. It's just a fact. That's what happened.
Yeah, and now it's your everyday business. Like
Yeah.
what you've gone into is now. How did you decide that that was then going to become
Yeah.
your
So,
whole
so I
kind of
suppose
business idea?
from Lloyd's, obviously, like I said, the deal was you give them 2 years, or you give FDM 2 years. Either either the client, in my case Lloyd's, will give you a permanent contract, a permanent job if you do well, or you can go back on the bench. But Lloyd's weren't going through any sort of agile transformation at the time, and I, like most people, whether they like to admit this or not, found Scrum first
Yeah,
and was like, yeah, that makes sense. Again, we used to do short, sharp planning sessions, short, sharp daily stand-ups, short, sharp feedback, sometimes too sharp in the Navy. So at the time, I was like, yeah, that process makes sense. So
yeah,
found out about Scrum, found out about this thing called a Scrum Master, and was like, okay, that sounds more up my street than maybe a more traditional project manager. And Lloyd's, that just wasn't an option. So I started to go all in on that. So Lloyd's, probably, without sounding, arrogant or big-headed, I probably could have stayed there as permanently, or extended through FDM, or gone back to FDM. But I wanted to jump. I wanted to make up that wage after 2 years quite quickly, and to see
yeah.
some progression. Makes me sound like I'm driven by money. I'm not, but it's just when you drop from,
You're driven by goals.
yeah. But
Those,
like,
yeah,
again, I've got nothing to when I was in the Navy on 30 grand a year basic. Obviously, you get C pay on that, and I was away all of the time. So you're probably looking at between 35 and 38,000 pounds a year. To then go down to 25 the first year,
yeah,
27 the second, like you are motivated by money at that point.
yeah. Of course you are.
When you're
Yeah,
living in Bristol, in the centre of Bristol, like,
yep,
so at that point, yes, money was a factor. So I knew I needed to up that to be able to progress and carry on. But so yeah, found a Scrum Master job, went and did that, and then went to a couple of other places as a Scrum Master, and then sort of found out about contracting. Got a bit lucky with a network that I'd built. There was a group of Agile coaches in a building society in Swindon. It's not too hard to work out which one that is. But got my foot in the door there. Was already abusing LinkedIn at that point, to the point where I was getting bits and bobs of other clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted control of my own destiny, really. I think
Yeah.
I remember standing somewhere as a perm, asking to go on a course, and they said no. But in the same week, they'd spent £2,000 on a coffee machine.
Yeah.
And I was like, well,
So no investment
okay.
in people there.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, okay. That's the story that I always go back to, that sort of triggered thinking I could probably just be a bit, have more control of my own way of doing things, really.
And what kind of challenges did you face, coming into the tech world? And you've obviously overcome them, because you're now, in everyday Agile and
I think so. I'll probably split this into two parts, because I wasn't perfect. No one's perfect today, but I think I went especially into Lloyd's so bearing in mind, I joined it. So again, this is just for context. It's just facts. I joined the Navy at 17, left just before I was 25. So although that's a long time, it's still that's 7 years, whatever, but still relatively young.
Yeah.
So when I went into Lloyd's, I think I was maybe a bit cocky, and my ego was up. I don't know if this goes out on visual, but my ego was up here.
Yeah.
And I quickly realised that no one cares what you've done previously, because they've worked just as hard in their role.
Yes.
And there's a few times where I got mistaken for a graduate, which was now I take as a compliment. But at the time, I was like, I'm not a graduate. Sorry for swearing,
grown.
but
It's all right.
do you know that I've done this or done
of course.
that, and so I had to pull myself back together quite quickly. And that didn't take too long, because I like to think I'm relatively grounded, but it was still a thing. Like, you go from this high, intense environment where a lot of pressure is put on your young shoulders at the time to, are you a graduate? Like, it's like, come on, mate. So, but they weren't to know. That was a me problem. I need to be very clear.
It's personal growth, isn't it?
That's where I needed to mature. And on the flip side of that, because I hadn't gone through that more traditional graduate, university, entry-level job, bang, 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 I was probably in rooms with a lot of people who were a lot older than me from, when I went into contracting at 27. That's still relatively young in the contractor market.
Very, yeah.
So, and again, because I have known to be a bit of a blunt instrument at times, that didn't always serve me in probably the best way. But again, they're me challenges, not necessarily challenges that anyone else put on me.
How did you overcome those? The personal side of it. Did you kind of, you say about being cocky, and I think that's something that all of us have probably been through as people who are in certain roles we're in now. We've obviously had to be humble at some point. How did you make that change from, let's say, having such a grown mindset in this role to
be honest, I think when I was on with Annie and Lloyd's, I got the bus every day. Mm-hmm. And I did find podcasts around that time, 2015. And I think what you surround yourself with is really important. And I'd probably not really learn how I learn until that point.
Yeah.
Like, if I'd have found podcasts in school, I genuinely would have flown.
Absolutely.
Because that's just how I've learned how I retain information. So I just started listening to more grounded perspectives on things. Not like woo-woo self-help and things like that, but just more just more conversations from people who were different to me, I suppose, and had been. I used it to accelerate my own maturity through other people. And I think, as much as people might cringe or whatever, but podcasts were a saving grace for me at that time. And this was back when they weren't as big as they are now. Like the pickings,
Jeez, the stats are crazy, aren't they?
Yeah, the pickings were pretty slim back then. Yeah, and I think I'm very lucky that I've got a wife who brings me down when I need to be. If I even get a sniff of being too big for my boots, she'll let me know pretty swiftly, you know.
Yeah, and then you got to take that skill into like what you're doing now, and obviously you're a leader in your business, and well, the agile industry, full stop, and the agile way of working, full stop, and
yeah.
How do you take those skills and then take that into an agile context? Especially considering you've come from, like you say, a command and control environment. Or
yeah, when you sent that through, I was thinking about that, and I think obviously in the previous, it's 2025 now. Like, I'm 10 years out of the Navy, so I do feel like a bit of a fraud sometimes still referring to it. But although it can be command and control, because ultimately someone needs to make a decision that can be quite dramatic. Someone needs to decide whether that you push that button or not in certain scenarios. But day to day, it's not that command and control, which probably sounds strange, because you have that goal, or you have that set of daily orders which outlines the day, and as long as those things get done, there is quite a lot of autonomy that I don't think people would really associate with the armed forces. So I think it would be unfair for me to say, oh yeah, it was very command and control and very disciplined, which it was. Regimented is probably a better word, because it was disciplined. But I think taking it into this space, I think you've just got to trust people. You've got to give people the safety net of trusting them that they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But over communicating that you are there for them, and being open to them communicating with you when they need you. Like I always say to our folks, like, if I don't know something's wrong, I can't help you.
Yeah, communication is absolutely everything.
But that works both ways. In terms of, I need them to feel comfortable enough to communicate to me.
Yeah.
So it's quite a difficult balance at times. But I like
and it leads on to that question I sent through for you about embracing the agility without losing the discipline. I think that's a really tricky balance. And how do you help teams to do that?
What, to remain disciplined? Sorry. To
embrace the agility, but without losing the discipline.
I think goals do help in giving a clear direction. I think that's it. Yeah, it's a good question.
I think it's a lot of people. I think change as well, in terms of, I know it's agility, but the word agility means so much, doesn't it? And just change in general, when you're coming into a team and looking at how you can apply a change of sorts, is always, people receive it differently, don't they?
I think you need to tell them what's in it for them.
Yeah.
Because I think change, people, again, what's that? It's like cliches are cliches because they work. So people don't mind change. They hate change being done to them, or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think you have to...
what is that? We have to find out what that is.
Yeah.
That would bother me.
Yeah. Something like that. I probably murdered it, but I think, people have to know what's in it for them. If you are going through a change, they have to know why you're doing it in the first place. Because if you're in an organisation, there's often these two bits of friction where the yearly report or the mid-year report, profit, turnover, whatever, that's normally they wanted, the leadership team want to keep that positive,
Yeah.
and it normally is. But then you've got people like a change team, or people like me coming in saying, "Oh yeah, why don't we try this to change?" And it's like, well, you're telling me over here that everything's fine, but you're also got this change initiative. So what
Which
is
one
it?
am I at? Yeah.
What,
Yeah. Where am I
like,
at?
what are you not telling us? And I think that's really important to communicate. But yeah, I think you've just got to let people. You just got to give people. I don't like the term guardrails or boundaries, really, but you've got to give them the lines.
Clear comms.
You've got to give them the lines
Yeah.
to colour in, so they feel safe enough that if they do colour over the lines, they're going to be all right.
Yeah, and someone's going to be there to support them.
Yeah.
Should that be?
Yeah.
And there's what's one of the you're working with some organisations to try and adopt agile way of working.
Yeah.
What's the biggest cultural shift that you've seen in some of the organisations you're working with to help that?
Being open to not accepting the fact they can't plan everything up front and they can't predict the future, which everyone is going to say that, but everyone's going to say it because it's such a big problem. We all think we can predict what our customers, what the world is going to do, but we just can't.
And not at the moment. Hey,
no,
well.
And we wouldn't be sat here if that was the case, because we'd all be winning and we'd all be sat on a beach somewhere. But just owning the fact that not everything is perfect in one's organisation can be quite a big mirror to stare into.
Yeah,
it's not always nice.
No, and we're seeing a lot more of that. At the moment, like leaders and senior leaders of businesses being almost having like a review of themselves within the business compared to what the business is trying to achieve and what gaps there are in those kind of ways of thinking. And we're seeing a lot more, like you say, of senior leadership teams and companies having to be open to that. Like I can't control everything. Kind of mindset.
And
at the moment,
and being like letting go as well. I think it's easy to demonize, like it's always the leadership team's fault.
Yeah.
But sometimes people within teams also need to take that accountability, autonomy that they've been asking for as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes
definitely.
We want to be autonomous, but can we do this?
Or I need someone to tell me what to do because no one's told me to do that.
Yeah. And it's like, well,
and
yeah.
It's a real battle, that is. Like, I think in every business, because there's people, like you say, who want and crave autonomy, but then there's also people that crave structure. So balancing those two of, well, I've got no one kind of telling me that what I should be doing against, but I want to be able to do what I need to be able to do.
Yeah.
It's that perfect mix, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's that question I said to you about emotional intelligence, I suppose. From everyone needs to have that open emotional intelligence to know that it's all about the development and improvement of things, progression.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I don't know if, and this is proof that I'm not fishing because you don't know me really, but I don't know if I am. I don't know if I'm in a position to talk about emotional intelligence, but maybe that's emotional intelligence by saying I don't know if I'm the best person to talk about it.
That's
because
deep.
I'm not the most overly. Yeah, but it's, when you sent it through, I was like, I think yeah, I don't know if I'm. Yeah, I'm just not that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm. Not qualified is not the right word because you can't be qualified in emotional. You can't self-certify,
or speak for other people.
Yeah, I like to think I'm there and I'm supportive and can read the room. But emotional intelligence is, I don't know. It's a tricky one, that I think.
Yeah, and I think we all have it, and we all need to develop it sometimes as well, because it depends on the scenarios, it depends on everything, doesn't it? And sometimes emotional intelligence is just about being open to change, like you say, and how that is approached with people and how you would approach it with people who may be open to it and may not. So
Yeah, I'm trying to think of examples where
it's
I
that
suppose what
embracing,
I've,
isn't it? Again,
yeah, I'll let you decide. I think I've had to be emotionally intelligent to recognise that because of the model we do here, the model we do in my business, ultimately, because we run an associate model,
yeah,
so basically subcontractors, but they don't care about everyday agile, and nor should they. Most contractors just want an outside of IR35 contract with a decent day rate and things to go smoothly so they can crack on with their
exciting
job.
work. Yeah,
Yeah, so as long as I communicate that and support them if they've got other things, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I'm work in progress on that part, I think.
I think everyone is, to be fair.
Yeah, yeah.
So, looking at your business model, how do you see the future of Agile evolving? So we're obviously like in the middle of a massive AI, culture shift,
Yeah.
and I think that AI now coming to the forefront of a lot of companies' minds. You've got a lot going on in a very short space of time, and how people are having to prioritize, people are having to make decisions, and then projects are starting before they're finishing, they're starting another one, just to try and keep up. So how do you see the future of Agile evolving with this space?
I think firstly, the people, what I realised a few years ago is there's a lot of people just getting on with it who don't post on the echo chamber that is LinkedIn.
Yeah,
You don't have to scroll if you're in these circles. Obviously, if you're in a completely different circle, it's not relevant. But if you're in the agile community, you don't have to scroll too far to see a lot of negativity. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. There's a very small percentage of people who talk about it online. A bigger majority of people that are just doing the job really well, who probably deserve more props than anyone. I think the future just looks like organisations will still need good people to deliver good things for the time being. And I think we as a community have to be better at not turning people off. And whether that's a language change, whether that's a different approach in terms of showing, not necessarily telling. There was a few years, where it was all about coaching and coachy. But sometimes people just want a question answered.
Yeah.
And if they want a question answered, they're probably just going to go to ChatGPT to get it answered, which may not understand the context. So I think I'm formulating this as I'm talking, to be honest. So if we can be better at providing contextual answers to questions instead of trying to coach people all of the time, or maybe give more direct coaching, or give people the option, I think we would serve our customers or clients a bit better.
Yeah,
but I still think we're going to
need.
But I still think we're going to need decent people to create decent things, and that's not going to change. It's just the language of it.
Yeah, and it's this whole embrace to enhance, isn't it? And rather than what did I hear earlier that I've cringed at? Embrace, not replace. I think it was something along those lines. And I think that that is exactly how it's going to be for many industries and many ways of working. And it's about how you can, like you say, still have that person that you are relied upon who's good for you and good for your business and right for the business, but how do they make themselves more better?
Yeah.
How do we be better with it?
And I think if we're talking about contractors specifically or freelancers, you've got to be able to show your receipts. Like anyone who works with us will say that'll be one of the biggest things I advise them to do, is just keep your receipts and keep your evidence of how you've helped clients. because that's what people want. That people want help with problems they want solving, and the more you can show them that, the more chance there is that they may get in touch. Like I don't understand why people don't do that. I do understand because of imposter syndrome, and this is where the emotional intelligence probably slips. But I do get it because of imposter syndrome and not, being introverted. I'm a performing introvert, I would say. But I know the game.
Yeah.
And if one wants to be a freelancer or build a business or even get a permanent job, like people want to see what's on the menu.
It's funny that you've gone from being cocky when we were speaking earlier when you first started to now performing introvert, and how you, like you say, you not play the game, but you know the game. There's a difference, isn't there? Playing the game and knowing the game.
But I think I was always cocky in terms of, that I would be the one who would say what everyone else was thinking, but then no one would back it up. I think that's what I mean. So then I would be that guy.
Yeah.
But although everyone else was saying the same thing, I felt like I had the confidence to say, well, this isn't X, Y, or Z. I think that's what I meant. Yeah, cocky is probably maybe not the right word, but
no, I know what you mean. But you've got youth cocky as well there on the side, haven't you, back then as well? And that I think that does bring a confidence that as you get older, and imposter syndrome and your mindset starts to shift into more of a, like you say, it's that you've got that the confidence starts to deplete almost, and you have to start backing yourself up. Yeah, exactly. And people relying on you and all these sorts of things. But I think that your comment there about being, the person that would be happy to say something, and be there to back that up, that's probably why, you've got this connection with a lot of your customers, or that realism that comes from that in business that you're not going to get from your AI technologies, is something that I don't think we're going to be able to replace, because it's credibility, it's relationship builds, it's that interaction that you have. And I think it's really important when you're working with a customer that you can have that, you can be real.
And I think with us, I've had to tone it down a bit, but I think people understand what they're getting and what they're not getting if they work with Everyday Agile. And that's not to say all of our associates are clones of me, because they're not. I like to think we've got a diverse group of people.
Yeah, it's important.
But at the same time, if they don't align with what we're about, then it's not going to work, is it? Because when the clients come to us, they have come to us for a reason, and that's because they like the tone of voice, or
it's about not being afraid as well. Not everyone is the right client, are they? For the job, and it's about not being afraid to kind of have that conversation and value add.
It's like a tin of paint. That's what I see consultancies have. As if you think of B&Q, tins of paint. We're just one of those tins. You can have a look at it. You can turn it around. If you don't like it, put it back on the shelf. Hopefully they don't.
Yeah.
But if we were there to serve everyone, then we'd serve no one, probably.
That's it. I say this all the time. A friend to everyone, a mate to everyone is a friend to no one. So I think that it's right. It's horses. Too many cliches, all in one thing there. But and I think that genuinely is going to be something that does stand out in this AI revolution.
Yeah. How are you finding it? Let me turn this. I'm not used to being in this position.
Yeah, so do it. It's fine. Do it. I mean, we are fully embracing it. I think, well, in my role, I'm embracing it because you'll know, as someone who's probably responsible for customer relationships or finding new customers or speaking to new customers, that actually time is quite precious. So for me, the everyday stuff, helping me with prioritization and documentation and things that aren't my strong point, policies, documents, all that. It's not what I want to be doing. It's not what I enjoy. So that sort of thing is been embraced from my side, and it's really helping. And actually, as a business, it's helping. Personally, I use it way more than I ever thought I would. I've spoken to so many companies out there that are ready for it, want it, have got it, don't know what to do with it, or where to start, which I think is quite a, well, it's probably like countrywide. When you speak to a lot of big businesses, they're not, they're not really sure how they're going to show the value, but they need to quite
Yeah.
quickly. So that's interesting. But I speak to a couple of industries that are scared, travel being one.
Travel? How? Well,
Yeah.
in terms
Um,
of.
well, in terms of the more kind of like booking your holidays, basic
Okay.
stuff like that, if we strip it right back, because actually I can put into, like you say, Copilot, ChatGPT, whichever technology it is, and say, I want to go here, find me the best deal, and it's done. So there's some that I think are still quite far away from embracing or know how to, like you said, be open to looking at what isn't working for them and what they need to change.
Yeah.
It's still that mindset that they're not quite ready to hear it. No one
Yeah.
wants to hear their baby's ugly today.
No.
So
No. True.
it's like not ready for that conversation. But yeah, so we're finding it an interesting place at the moment. The market in general is just interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a
It's
good word. Interesting.
yeah, it's the other word I was thinking. But it's just a very, very tough market with minimal budgets but maximum output needed. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah. Are you experiencing something similar?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we are all, again, it's analogy heavy, but we're all in little fishing boats in the middle of the Atlantic with bait on our rods, trying to get
Yeah,
attention to try and get clients. And I
yeah,
think unless, again, I'm giving away like, no, but the thing is, like, I say this stuff and no one does it or very few people do it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But if you can't get the attention of the decision makers or the people with those problems, then you're just going to be there with
yeah.
your rod out, nothing happening.
Literally
Yeah.
for a long time.
Um,
You're right, though. You are right, and it's right now. I think the most important thing you can focus on is relationships,
yeah.
because those relationships that are nurtured and worked on now will survive until everyone's ready again. Because this is the nature of the beast, isn't it? It's up down, and you
Yeah,
have to
there will
pivot
come
and
a time.
shift.
Like,
Yeah,
like I said
exactly.
before, organisations, whether that's internal help or external support, will need for the foreseeable. Although it might, it's going to the speed of which companies like ours, or I won't speak for yours, companies like mine are
Mm.
needed. There probably is a timeline on that.
Yeah,
I'm not naive enough to think that. But for now, you've got to sort of put a shift in to try and make sure you're ready for that. Um,
yeah.
I had another point then, but it's totally gone. Yeah.
I think everyone's looking for that, like, why, aren't they? Like, why should I talk to you? Why should I
So yeah,
work with
yeah,
you?
you just triggered. I'm very good at saying no,
Yeah,
like as a strength, but I've had to be better at saying yes to things.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and maybe pivoting away from the everyday normal way of working, like you say, and being open to saying, well, I can help you for nothing for a minute, but only on
yeah,
an
yeah,
advice kind of basis. And
yeah.
yeah,
Even with that, though, you got to be careful because not you, as one has to be careful because people. I've found a few from the outside. You know, this is just anecdotal. It's not really a fact,
mm,
but I see a lot of people, especially on LinkedIn, who have given so much value away for years. And I have, and a lot of others have, to be fair, but I'm talking like free templates, ebooks,
yeah,
courses. And when that time comes for them to ask for something, it's like,
no,
because they've had what they want from you in a horrible way. So yeah,
yeah,
it is a balance. But yeah, going to workshops or going to meetups, talking a bit more, doing things like this.
yeah. We
Yeah,
find that webinars as well at the moment is a really good way to kind of
yeah,
get engagement and show value, and all those key buzzwords that everyone's looking to to do at the moment, but they don't necessarily have that commitment to give you right now, because everyone's in the same boat as us.
Yeah,
We're not the only ones with rods like out. Everyone is effectively got their rod out in no matter what role they're in or industry they're in, isn't it? And
yeah.
it's about how we all work together to nurture the relationship for a long time, I think.
I still think there is. I still like to think that there is enough. This is a sort of an oxymoron, but if I'm not the right organised business for someone, but I know someone else who is, I will still point them in that direction, because I still think there is enough to go around.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go, oh, no, I can't do that, so I'm not going to, share it out. But that only happens if you've got good relationships with people.
And confidence as well in the fact that they're going to return to you because you've supported them with what was the right thing to support them with at the time. I think that people are scared of that, aren't they? They say yes to things they shouldn't say yes to, like you say, it should be saying no. And they're too afraid to point someone in a direction that is right for them in case it, potentially limits their opportunity in the future, which is the wrong, well, it's my personal opinion, it's just the wrong way of thinking, because, the value add you get from credibility in that is worth its weight in gold. But if you could go back and give your younger self the one piece of advice before entering this industry, what would it have been? $1 million question.
Yeah, probably take it in terms of, I went to some amazing places, and it's only now where I go, I should have just stopped and breathed a bit more.
Yeah.
Because once you get on that, and people try and break away from this, don't they? And all power to them. But once you get on this hamster wheel of either being freelance, running a business, or just in the corporate space, time goes very quickly. And that's again a cliche thing to do, but I think I would tell him to calm down. Everything's going to be okay. You're in the Antarctic.
Take it in.
Slow down, because you're probably not. You're not going to get this opportunity again.
Yeah. Some
or
great advice.
Insert any other area of the world that I've been, but you'll be all right. That's probably what I'd tell him.
That's great advice. I think that's great advice for anyone at any point in their life, let alone at the beginning of the journey. Because, like you said, time is rapid, and sometimes I think we miss what's going on around us.
I was just going to say, if anyone is interested, the other two co-organisers would flog me if I didn't do this. So we are hosting a conference called the Not Another Agile Conference in Liverpool on October the 20th. If you type my name into LinkedIn, you won't fail to see it. The tickets are running out, but if you fancy coming, then it'd be lovely to see you there. Product managers, change managers, going to do a live podcast there.
That'd be great.
So
and we could drop a link for that as well on the episode.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you very much. Like I said, the other two would kill me if I didn't mention it. So
no, and likewise, we say any questions for Jack or any questions for Everyday Agile, please drop them into our mailbox on podcast@curoservices.com. Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks, Jack.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, great, thank you.